Namaste, and welcome to the discussion on International Women's Day hosted by Vaani Speakers Academy. And I'd like to wish all of you tuning in today a happy International Women's Day. My name is Akshaya. I'm a doctor based in the Midlands and part of the first cohort of Vaani Speakers Academy. And it is my privilege to be able to host this discussion today, joined by two of my fellow cohort members and incredibly accomplished women in their own field today. So Rajni ji, Negi, Neelima ji, Chirla, Namaste, and welcome to this discussion today. Neelima ji and Rajni ji are both from Liverpool and Slough, respectively. And I'm from the Midlands, so we're representing various parts of the United Kingdom and share various cultural experiences, life experiences. But the common thing that binds us is our passion for this topic on the feminine divine, which we'll be discussing today, and our passion for sharing our expertise on various topics through the skills that we've learned from Vaani Speakers Academy. So for those of you who are not familiar with Vaani Speakers Academy, please do check out our YouTube channel and our website to find out more. But we have been developing ambassadors of the community through a unique value-based methodology. And we have been present for more than 5 years with the aim to create a network of confident orators who specialize in a range of topics, all with the common goal of sharing what a sustainable society could look like amongst the challenges present to us today. So let's kick off this discussion. And the topic that we have at our hand today is the divine feminine. So Neelima ji, how would you define the divine feminine?
In my opinion, the one of the most fascinating aspect in my eyes, as a child, was the concept of the divinity in Hinduism. And today, while we are talking about the feminine divine, and then I think it's all about the goddess Durga, who is well known for her, the 10 hands and carries the weapons. And while she's carrying the weapon, she's also got the lotus and the conch shell. So she has got that ability and that those characters, where she is destroying the evils. At the same time, she has got an element of protection. So she's fierce, she's benevolent, she is protector, and she is compassionate. So according to me, so those characteristics are applicable to the women in the modern era today, who fills into all those characters of that deity in place.
Wonderful, Neelima ji, Durga Ma, and then she's revered across so many different cultures
Yeah.
in India. And absolutely, she brings in all these qualities to the table. Now, Rajni ji, how would you define divine feminine? Do you have a slightly different take to Neelima ji?
Namaste, everyone. Prabhatam. Basically, today, as we are celebrating this International Women Day, I feel we are not just acknowledging the contribution of women, we are recognizing an energy that exists in all of us. I feel that energy, being female, is not same as being feminine. And I want to emphasize on this word feminine is not about gender. I feel it's all about an energy, a force, that exists in all of us. That energy, that nurture, that create, that protect, and that transform. Um, a divine feminine, irrespective of gender, I call it a force, a energy, which is holding a space, which is offering a comfort to all of us, which is guiding us without any control. So for me, this divine feminine aspect has a very, very deeper meaning, irrespective of gender, but being a contentment of balance.
Thank you, Rajni ji. Looking at the feminine as energy is actually native to our philosophy that has stemmed more than 2,000 years ago. So actually in one particular school of thought, the masculine energy known as Purusha was seen as not just energy, but consciousness, complemented by the feminine energy, Prakriti. So together that culmination of Prakriti and Purusha gave rise to the creation and sustenance of the universe as we see today. So that was And when we look at it as energy, you're absolutely right. People think, oh, feminine, we have to be a woman to embody these qualities. But absolutely not. It's that balance of harnessing those masculine and feminine qualities that allow us to bring the best version of ourselves today. And we look at these deities like Durga Ma, or even philosophers, heroines in our literature. For me, Maitreyi is one of my favorite characters in our Upanishads, because her thirst of knowledge, her thirst for knowledge rather, her ability to not settle and seek that beyond made her renowned, and her contributions are still something that is being explored today by many around the world. But looking at them and placing them on a shelf doesn't allow us to harness them, embody them, and aspire to them today. And that's what's quite beautiful. When you talk about feminine divine, we can actually start to reflect on these characters, and we can start to apply them in our everyday world today. So in that context, let's talk about feminine leadership. Now, this has become a very catchy phrase that's come on. And Neelima ji, you work in financial crime, and you're the National Women's Coordinator for a voluntary organization. So, leadership is something that you undertake in your everyday world. So what does feminine leadership mean to you, and how does that look like for you?
Like as we just spoke, so feminine leadership is not restricted to the female respectively, because it's like, complementing each other's qualities as a male and the female, in this new era. So, while we talk about the women in specific, it's the women are the dynamic force to itself. They've got lots of positive energy, and they can bring the change to the society with their educational pursuits, with their professional achievements. And so, considering my role at work and my role with the social organization, with the Sangh, I think it's all coming together, being, being respectful to each other, empathizing, collaborative, and also to uplift each other. So while you find any certain quality on someone, support them, bring that shyness away from one individual if they are not comfortable, making sure that they are coming out of that shellness, and then they are proving themselves for the betterment of the community, not only to the house respectively. Because we as a woman, sometimes take a step back, considering, okay, fine, our responsibility is just to look after the children. But no, you have got something, lots there. You have got lots of enthusiasm, you have got lots of knowledge. So come out of the house and bring that change to the society.
That's very powerful, Nilimaji, and you for one are an example of undertaking that, and having a stake in various spaces back in Liverpool. And Rajni ji, similarly, you are a leader in various voluntary spaces, and you mentor a lot of young people and women as well. What does feminine leadership mean to you?
So, Ashaji, Nilimaji, a very fantastic point. I just came across and I've listened. So, growing up, I think there is a very different layer and aspect as well, and different dimension, which I think as a leader, when I talk about, I will see it in a two different perspective now. So, one, I will first of all talk about a deity, yeah, and growing up in a house. I came from Uttarakhand actually, and there is a small village. And when I was growing up in that village, everyone, turned up to this deity, Bhagavati, we call it, Durga Ma. And she was not just a deity, okay? She was a guardian, a force. Everyone seek blessings from her for her protection, guidance. And I used to ask, what exactly is being powerful about her? Yeah, being a female. But then when I grew older, I began to ask her, what was that? What is making her so powerful? Was it simply because she was a goddess, or was it something deeper? And then I realized something profound in this process of relearning, I would say, not learning. I have unlearned, relearned a lot of things. And I found that that strength of Bhagavati was not just because she was a female, because her power was coming from something beyond that. She was embodying this. energy of Shakti, which is a pure, boundless energy. Yeah. So now I talk about that Shakti. Now leaders, if I talk about, I have grew up in a house where I saw my mother, my grandmother as a strong force of the women who have led a way on their own terms and leading that life. And I would call them silent leaders, basically, because we often pictures leaders standing at the front, someone who is speaking passionately, commanding attention. I myself do that, but today I want to acknowledge them as well, because I am who I am because of those silent
Absolutely.
leaders. That
Yes.
is also a form of leadership which is often overlooked and misunderstood. I want to give an example, a slight example about one of my chachi, and she used to run an Anganbadi. I don't know, most you got know this meaning of the term Anganbadi, but
Yeah,
that
yeah.
that
And
has a very very profound impact on me, because I was watching her, that her leadership was not about taking charge in a traditional sense, but it was about quietly supporting and building and ensuring the foundation of a younger generation. So for me, leadership I see doesn't fit in that traditional mold, and unfortunately, which I feel that uh, in today's society where we have where we are heading to, that we have a need to prove ourselves on a constant basis, the pressure to shout, the pressure to be seen, the pressure to be heard, to demand recognition. So for me, that subtle sense, that softness is also about leadership, the balance of, sometime being on the front, sometime being at the back, to be visible and not to be visible, when to know when to come forward, and to know when to, hold steady from behind. So it's about, ability to play both roles with grace. And that's what I feel in my sense, according to me, that leadership is not about proving the strength actually, but because it's already there, right? And in a subtle way, how we are making that impact.
yeah.
Actually, that's very well put, Rajniji. And now we've caught on to this notion of feminine leadership, and it's not just unique to this conversation that we're having. Actually, in the workplace, in leadership and management, feminine leadership has become a popular term. In fact, the Forbes article, there was an article that I was reading recently that very much sheds color on some of the qualities that you've talked about: emotional intelligence, intuition, showing a little bit of vulnerability and authenticity as a result, fostering collaboration. And these are very powerful qualities of feminine leadership. And actually, for those of our viewers tuning in, do check out another organization who has curated a set of podcasts called the Vicharmanthan podcast, or VM podcast, which is available on Spotify, SoundCloud, and all your other podcast portals. And there's an episode on dharma and womanhood, which actually dives into detail about feminine leadership, which for me personally has given a lot of perspective on shifting away from the traditional stereotypical concept of leadership that we are exposed to growing up, or we're still exposed to in some parts. And I work in women's health, so actually I'm quite blessed that a lot of my role models in the space are women and can harness some of these qualities. So I'd like to just share a short story before we move on, because for me it was an embodiment of feminine leadership in action. So we had a situation where it was a high risk delivery, and easily this woman who was giving birth could have bled, more than 6 to 10 liters, and our body has 6 liters. So actually, you can imagine emptying out of an entire blood volume. But this particular surgeon demonstrated qualities of situational awareness, of intuition, key communication with all the team members. So not standing in front and going, I am better than everybody, but actually working with each of the team members to empower them to undertake their responsibility to the best of their action. staying calm in the face of chaos. So there was no panic
Yes.
when there was this high risk operation going on. And, everyone was just doing their thing and there was no panic. And this woman actually, who could have easily, had several complications, stayed in hospital for weeks together, actually ended up going home just 2 days later with, seemingly the most straightforward experience from her lens. And all of this, for me personally, watching this, being that fly on the wall and seeing all of this manifest in action, came down to those qualities of leadership that the surgeon demonstrated. Now, when I say the surgeon, everyone suddenly will think of this tall white man, taking charge and embodying these qualities. But actually, it was a tiny brown woman. So, that's the image. Now, if you replay the story and if you imagine this, but that was a leader, and she was a leader, true leader, embodying these qualities. So, as someone, aspiring to be someone like her, looking at these qualities and seeing that actually we can be confident in who we are, where we've come from, and harness these qualities and be every bit as good as a leader in that space is truly inspiring.
Yeah.
And
Yes, yeah. Can I just add one, the childhood story while we are talking about all experiences, I spoke about an element of uplifting and in building up a confidence in each other. So, so my dad has been in Indian Army, and he's retired as an honorary captain. So you see that somebody who has served the country for almost 35, 36 years, and then all that respect that automatically when you talk about the forces, you just try to stand up and give a salute. So that respect is there, but it's very, the unsung heroes are actually the moms there, because they are the ones who is looking after the children, and they give the support to their better halves that okay, fine, we are here, we are looking after the family. So it's not only the children, the husband's family, their family respectively. And most of the time, due to an element of the relocation which happens in the forces of every 3 years, the women has to compromise on their careers, but they build that confidence within themselves and they look for an opportunity. So when I talk about my mom, she looked for an opportunity to, she was a teacher, so had to compromise on her career due to the relocation, but she made an effort. Yes, she has the knowledge. So why should I not teach to the children, the children who are in the regiment? So I remember at 5 o'clock every evening, we used to have 20, 30 kids in our, the space in front of the house. And that like, so that shared attitude of the sharing the knowledge is also one of the quality, and that's not something has been seen, and they are absolutely unsung heroes. And the quality of what they teach, to them, like, always aim high. And she is my role model because she taught me aim, dream, run behind them in spite of having any roadblocks in between. But when you accomplish, still be down to earth. Do not change your attitude, have that positive attitude towards everything that you have accomplished and towards the society, because I think that we inherit the qualities and we need to pass on these to the next generation as well. And these is not a quality respective only to the women. This is to every gender, basically.
And adding to this point to both of you fantastically, like the unsung heroes at the back. But to the Akshay ji's point, I want to come to that where you said that as a surgeon, we always think about, oh, a male, right?
Yeah.
Basically it's about I would say the character. So I would feel that in the coming forward as a narrative, as a dialogue which we are doing, the kind of a ecosystem now I think we have to build. It's on us that what kind of a dialogue now we are passing on to our this next generation, that this feminine aspect which we are talking about, yeah, is not limited only to the females. Somewhere we have to nurture these qualities in males as well.
Yes.
We have to make them understand that to balance. this and to give that ecosystem, the different challenges, different roles. The girls have to come in front. Somewhere it's the dads, it's the brothers, it's your mentors at the back, who have to play that feminine part as well in order to women to grow in this aspect.
You know what, Rajniji, that's a great point, but I'm very optimistic that we are already getting there. Um,
Yes.
Even for example,
Yes.
for all of us to be able to, those of us who are passionate about our workspace and conquering in the workspace, we have our partners who stay back and adopt some of those roles, which traditionally would be seen by, undertaken only by women. But I think that balance has actually started to come about, and I would hope that for your children who are growing up now, that actually this conversation is a non-issue. That actually, there is no such thing as
Yes.
stay, cook and clean, and a man has to go to work. Actually, it becomes a bit of a give and take and a joint collaboration that can then bring about that flourishing of that home ecosystem.
And that's what our culture was, Akshay. If we go back to the basic, if we go back to our tradition and our roots, our scriptures, Manu Smriti, if we read about, it was all about, you see, I don't know over the time how these narratives have played that role, where we got that feeling of suppression, but actually it was not like that. It was a beautiful balance, a blend of that, the feminine and the masculine trait. So I think, yes, going forward for our generation, I think it's us that we should be that torch bearer, which we have to make them understand in a beautiful way that this prakriti has that kind of a, sustainability is all about balance, actually, not
I think
about up and down,
up
but
and down. No, I think, the new generation has already brought that into the picture. It's already there in the Prakriti, as you said, Rajniji. It's already there in the nature. And Akshayji pointed out rightly that for our generation as well, it's actually started. See, when we talk about we three ladies sitting out here, we already started getting that support either from our fathers or our husbands. And that is the reason we are able to, go to the work, manage children, and of course, contribute to the community, contribute to the society, participate in the social work, and we are complementing each other. So we've already started getting that difference. And when we talk about some women achievers, like Kalpana Chawla reaching out to the stars, and Sudha Murthy ji, who is great achiever. So she also had that support coming from there. So because she has achieved a lot. So we had, I think, inspiration is always been there, and we are getting inspired from them, and hopefully we can quote us as an example to few out there.
Absolutely. And actually, you've very much touched upon the point of empowerment, which I'd like for us to, talk about next.
Yes.
Because we've come a long way as women in history. You're absolutely right, Rajniji. Our pre-10th century saw the wonderful liberty of women, flourishing and accomplishing across different fields. And, this concept of being confined to the homes and being married off at 10 did not exist in that part of history. And then somewhere along the line, we've taken that 180 towards repression. Practices that are now thankfully abolished, like sati, did exist in our history, and we ought to acknowledge that. But I, for one, am optimistic that we are journeying through that renaissance towards this concept of empowered choice. Being empowered to make choices and not being limited in our choices as women. So, actually, on this topic, Rajniji, let's come to you first. What are your thoughts on this notion of empowered choice?
absolutely. If you talk about empowered choices, if we reflect on the leaders like Rani Lakshmibai, Lakshmiji Kelkar, Jijabai, all these Hindu women, if we give the example, if we take inspiration from them, we saw that they were not powerless. Wherever they were needed, they step in actually. That ability to choose, that ability to lead, that ability to balance was always there. It was always ours. It was nothing that it was not inside. It was already inside us. So I feel like what I now feel is that instead, in this today's world of instant validation and external success, I don't know, this generation, I feel like, they are running towards this. I feel like it is making a harder kind. It's a challenge, but if we understand that this societal pressure, this unrealistic comparisons, and this constant need to prove ourselves, if we just leave them behind and try to understand a deeper aspect of us, who are we? If we try to go back to the basic, I think our life will become much, much easier.
Okay. Thank you, Rajni ji. And Neelima ji, now I'd like to come to you because, you're mum of a daughter as well. Now, if she says, mum, I have the choice to do whatever I want, how do you feel as a mother, and what does empowered choice look to you as nurturing those qualities in your daughter to become that role model of the future?
I think, see, first of all, having the daughter is a blessing. It's a beautiful feeling because you see your childhood in them. It's just that. And then to me, what I personally feel, it's just to support them what they want to do. Of course, you have to have the constant guide to them what is right and what is wrong. You need to. I would like to see my daughter in the society where she is valued and she feels it's worthy to be here. And I would like to see her to develop that confidence and have her own identity by pursuing her own choices, because I would see her to accomplish what she want to do it. Yes, as a parent, as a mom, your responsibility is to guide them, to show them what is, to show them the right path, to tell them if something is not correct. And you have to have that friendly bond, friendly motherly bond, where you can, gain that confidence and tell them now and then, constantly support them. And you have to give that liberty, because end of the day, the life is there, but you are, as a parent, as a mom, you are there as a guide for them. But you need to let them do what they want to do, what they want to achieve, what they want to accomplish. And you need to give the society a confident woman standing at her own legs. Not only doing, and you have to teach them whatever they accomplish. It's not only for them as an individual, to give something for the society as well, which is very, very important. Because having said that, the life is too short. Whatever you accomplish, spread the knowledge, share it to the people out there, being kind, and enjoy it.
Oh, absolutely, and then that's very you've put it very eloquently, Nilimaji. And I was reflecting actually. I'm not going to pull the age card here, but I very much am here living alone in a different part of the world to my parents because of the liberty I was given, because of the choice
Yes.
I was empowered to make, but with the bedrock of values that my parents have instilled in my sister and I. And I think that's very powerful, having that foundational values as parents, and parents form a big part of that ecosystem, which then allow the children to fly away freely, but knowing that they've got those values to hold on
Absolutely.
to then be able to be their independent selves in a different part of the world. So actually, my hope is that your children will see you having this talk today and be inspired by that. And I'd actually like to, on this day, call out what a privilege it is that we get to talk about empowered choices. We're sitting in the United Kingdom having this discussion, being able to make choices every day on, the simple things of what we're going to wear and what we're going to eat, all the way to, what we want to achieve in life, where actually our sisters in other parts of the world don't unfortunately have the same privilege. I mean, if we just look at the news in the last few months, places like Iraq and Afghanistan, where it's now legal for women to get married at the age of 9, and even courses like nursing, midwifery, which used to be traditionally undertaken by women for women, are no longer allowed to be studied by women. I mean, when we talk about empowered choice, a hope that actually, these women can be hopefully allowed some sort of choice, because,
Definitely.
we have
Yeah.
Yes. I do
Yes.
agree. I do agree with.
Absolutely, because I think we cannot emphasize on the fact called, we, yes, we are two different genders, but we should have that ability to live our life the way how we want, as a girl, as a woman.
Yeah.
Because we, no one should have a right to, to control on our life, because everybody should have an opportunity to gain the education. Everybody should have the opportunity to work, to aspire.
Yeah.
absolutely what they wish to do, because end of the day, everybody will get to live a life only once in the lifetime, not again and
Yes.
again.
Yeah. And also to adding to this point, actually, beautifully, I mean, illustrated by both of you. And I do agree that that voice, that constant choice, what exactly you are choosing. But apart from that, sometimes I feel um, uh, with your personal discipline, there comes a societal discipline as well. Means when we are giving a ecosystem to these girls, even I won't talk about girls. I would say to everyone, if they feel secure, they feel capable, that they extend this security to others as well. They build that platform that more and more women can thrive. So that's about societal discipline. In today's world, when we talk about our personal benefit, about us, we have to be disciplined in our personal choices. But now going forward for the younger generation, we have to teach them that uh, personal is good, but that societal discipline also is a thriving force now we have to look into now. Because when we talk about this Iran, we talk about the girls who don't have the right to choose and all those things, factors. I think we have to build more and more that kind of a platform, a voice, where they can come together as a no constant force, and they uplift each other so that they can make that impact in our samaj, basically.
And you know what? That's very powerful, Rajniji. Having coming together, joint collaboration, and
Yeah.
being that platform that people can then, hook onto, be inspired by, and then carry that on creates a very big ripple effect. I mean, we are all here beneficiaries of that same platform, isn't it? That same platform
Definitely.
built
Yes.
more than half a decade ago. Sorry, more than half a century ago. So I think we have that privilege and we rest upon it, and it's our responsibility to carry it forward. Actually, we've got questions from those tuning into YouTube, so we're not just talking to each other, which is very comforting.
Wow, amazing.
So, the first quality question that's come upon is being a feminine is a quality and not a gender, as we've mentioned. How do you differentiate it with masculine quality? Who would like to take this on?
I think it's as I mentioned earlier, it's more of complementing, each other. So now we are into the generation, we are into the era that it's not the characteristic specific. We call that women is a dynamic force or the epitome of an energy. So that's equally applicable to the masculine characteristics as well. So it's like, coming together, actively collaborate and complementing each other's qualities, and to achieve, something that a man and a woman want to aspire, together to reach their goals or to accomplish their goals. That's what, according to me, because it's not a gender specific. It's characteristics that identifies you having that, qualities of the feminine divine.
And a beautiful example is of Bhagwan Shiv, Lord Shiva, that
Yes,
that
absolutely.
that
Yeah.
masculine quality. And if you see the two, the Shakti and the Shiva, both feminine and masculine, and how they complement each other. So I feel being masculine is not about, we have given a very different definitions to that, actually. But it's about, you are right, the complementing Shiva and Shakti, right? Without Shiv, Shakti is incomplete. Without Shakti, Shiv is complete. So I would say, rather than going into those characteristics of masculine which we have in our minds, I think we should focus more on how to uplifting those both qualities
Each
in.
other.
Yeah, yes.
Yes, yes, definitely.
I think, tangibly for our audience, what are these qualities that Shiv and Shakti bring about? So if I reflect on that, right, Shiva brings about assertiveness, decision making, assertive decision making, strength, confidence, and leading from the front. Whereas you have Shakti, who nudges from behind, who embodies compassion, emotional intelligence. And so these are just a few examples, and I'm sure we can create, just from the stories that we have heard, a vast list of these qualities, and reflecting on how situational dependent, the intent of our action, and how that is going to contribute to the net flourishing of our society. We can then take a balance upon, should we bring about the Shiva within us, or should we harness the Shakti within us?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it should be gender. I mean, despite of any gender, it should be in, I think, everyone within us,
Everybody.
everyone. Yes.
I think everyone should have this quality, because I just want to, highlight. I was attending one of the sessions, a couple of years before, and the speaker has given a very good example that if man is the face of the house, women is a neck. It works together. So if you have to, turn your face, and obviously you need to turn together, the neck and the face, turns together. So you cannot just, stuck towards your neck and move your face. So they work together. So so the decision making, anything happens, it has to be together. It's more of coming together, uplifting together, and valuing each other's decisions basically, and more of a respecting. I think respect matters a lot over there.
Absolutely. And then
All
next
our
question.
answers, I feel all our answers go back to the basics actually. Somewhere,
Absolutely.
yeah. All the answers, if we stick to our roots and go back to basics, we'll see the beauty, the essence, the meaning, the actual meaning of this word when we talk about feminine, actually. It's all lies there. Yeah.
Yeah, and sitting over here, I'm feeling very excited because we all have got the same opinion towards the feminine divine, and it's like that there is lots of similar mindsets towards this in this era. It's too much complimenting. Yes, we are reaching out there, as Akshay has mentioned, we are reaching out there, which is good, which is very positive.
Now, on that note, and it's great that we're having this conversation. And I, for one, hope, a bit of a contentious opinion, but I think we would have achieved our success of true International Women's Day spirit and celebrating the divine feminine when we no longer have to have this conversation. When
Yeah,
actually it becomes a part of living, to
absolutely.
be a man, to harness our feminine qualities, to harness our masculine qualities. When it just becomes that is, and we no longer have to have this conversation, I think that is the epitome of true success, of having these conversations today. Because if we dial back the pages of history 100 years ago, we wouldn't be able to have this conversation confidently, or be able to live by.
Sure.
So as we
Yeah.
wrap up this, and I know we can talk about this for hours and hours together,
Hours and hours.
this conversation in person. But as we wrap up the session for today, let's come to you first, Rajneeji. What qualities do you aspire to embody this International Women's Day?
So I would like to conclude all my talk in a way that everything which we have just discussed is about, like, what exactly we do need now. We need the reflection of we have come a long way actually, and how we want to take it forward. We want to set a dialogue now, we want to talk more about it, set a dialogue, and the actions, what actions we are doing. It's about how we are thriving, because I always see that with power comes with greater responsibility. So when you see one quality, it was my Samarop speech as well in Vani, and I started with that. This question was always in my mind in a repeated way that, imagine constructing a building with a strong top floor, but a very weak foundation. So how long do you think you will stand on that weak foundation? कि आपका top floor तो strong है, but your foundation is weak. So that one thing which I'm constantly working on is that working on that weak foundation, that relearning, unlearning process is going on. And I think it's a lifelong, I consider myself as a lifelong seeker. So I think, yes, to get more, maybe next year I will give you a better answer of this actually. But yes, that learning is constantly on. Yeah.
Reflection and learning. And Neelimaji, how about you? What qualities do you wish to embody, or rather see your daughter embody this International Women's Day?
Um, See, we as a woman are an epitome of, the energy. So I would like my daughter to carry that energy and the, constant learning, gain the knowledge and ability to, speak up when it's needed, because I feel in the society that's very, very important. You as an individual has to be hardworking, dedicated. You may be, very clever, but you have, as a woman specifically, I think you need to have the quality, a characteristic, to voice out in the society and to bring and shape the world into the society, which is worth living, which is and also worth living to the others. So I want, her to grow up and, become an individual who would give an opportunities to the others, for her to be kind, confident, and to be just beautiful within herself. I want her to learn, love herself. That, yes, I am in this life, and I am beautiful. I am confident, and nurture and pass those qualities to her fellow mates.
That's very powerful, Neelimaji, and actually you've made me reflect on what I'd like to aspire to embody on International Women's Day. I've taken a real liking to Kali Ma recently, actually, the qualities of Kali, and she quite literally emulates the quality of transformative action. So being able to, not just sit there and watch,
Yeah.
manifest, but really become that force of transformation that can bring about change. So that's something that I'd like to hopefully aspire to embody this International Women's Day, not sitting back when there's discontent, but actually in the right way, in the way that brings about compassion, but looking at the bigger picture of benefit versus net harm, being able to exercise my voice and being able to
Yes.
exercise that with the responsibility that we have. So empowered choice, really, and transformative action. So those are my qualities that I'd like to aspire to embody. And as we wrap up, I'd like to thank our audience who have joined us this morning on a Saturday morning to join us for this discussion on the theme of feminine divine. If you do watch this discussion after, please do leave your comments. We really value your comments, your feedback. They may always spur further conversation and further thoughts amongst us at Vaani Speakers Academy. And once again, do check out our website, our social media for the range of talks that our cohort members have presented over the last 5 years. And we are available for hire, so please reach out to us on our website or our social media if you're looking for speakers, facilitators, workshops, panels for your corporate events, for your organizational events. We have 50 speakers across our academy specializing in a range of topics. Rajni ji, Neelima ji, thank you so much for joining us.
Namaste.
And it was a great pleasure to be able to have this conversation with you today. And once again, wishing all of you a happy International Women's Day. Namaste.
Happy International Women's